Hey guys, thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. We're going to be just following the move that it's been in for the last several weeks. If you guys like the channel, please subscribe, turn the notifications on, and if you want access to a weekly report where I go into some of the data science models I've developed as well as premium videos, then check out my website at intothecryptoverse.com to be added to the premium list. So what we're going to be talking about here basically is just continuing to see this move play out over the long term. And if you look back, how many times throughout each of these weeks were there, just countless people saying it's going to drop, it's going to drop. But despite the fact that the bears were everywhere, we've been more or less continuing to go up. And again, we've talked about this before. You're going to see it no matter what happens. Basically, we need to hold the 20-week moving average, which currently is at around $8,200. This is our support line for being in a bull market. And as far as I'm concerned, unless we break the 20-week moving average, I will be more bullish rather than bearish, just because historically speaking, being above the 20-week tends to be a very good thing. But again, once we break it, then I might change my tune in the short term. But again, what have we always said? It does not matter what Bitcoin does in 2020. We are here accumulating. One of the ways I know when I wake up in the morning, if price went up, I just look at my phone, and if I have say like 50 messages, then I know price probably went up. If in the morning I wake up and I have 500 messages, then I know price went down. And so it's pretty interesting because, again, this morning there was some news about a wallet back from 2009, from February 2009. So basically the first month that Bitcoin had been around. It launched January 3rd, 2009. So there was a wallet from back then that it had been dormant for the last 11 years, and some coins finally moved from that wallet. And some people, for some reason, speculated that it had to be Satoshi Nakamoto, which there's clearly really no evidence for that. It could just be one of the miners from the early days who maybe they decided they wanted to move their Bitcoin to either sell it or for some other reason. But regardless, with that move, we still are we're maintaining. I mean, this has not updated. We're still around $9,500 as I'm making this video. So continue to look again for Bitcoin to break that 10,000 mark. Obviously, we want to get above 10.5 at least to get past our where we ultimately held resistance last time. But ultimately speaking, and like we've said many times, it's a good thing in one sense if the price goes down in the short term, because it just allows you to accumulate more Bitcoin. And we've talked about this regression chart that I made. So it's just non-bubble logarithmic regression. So we're fitting historical Bitcoin data, but not to the speculative bubble phases, and we're just fitting it to an equation 10 raised to the a times L of x minus b with all that in parentheses, where x is number of days and a and b are fitted coefficients basically to get this fit as accurate as possible. And we talked about how at the halvings, this fit tends to predict the fair valuation fairly well, and I'm basically saying the fair valuation is along this primary regression band. So in 2012 or in that time frame, it was around $12 or $13. In 2016, it was around $650, and in 2020, it was around $8,300, which is basically right where Bitcoin was when it crossed through the halving. So as long as we're in this regression band, then historically speaking, we're in our accumulation phase. Now again, this is not financial advice. Clearly, there's always a chance we could break this long-term trend. But as far as I'm concerned, what I'm doing, personally speaking, is just as long as we're in this band, more or less, it corresponds to the risk of Bitcoin, this other metric that I made, to be less than 0.5. And I personally buy up to a valuation of 0.5, which right now would be, Bitcoin is still not at 0.5 right now. Again, if you guys want information on the risk metric, if you want access to more analysis on logarithmic regression, I do have a weekly newsletter and premium videos. And if you want to access that, just go to intothecryptoverse.com. We have a lot of people that have signed up, and they're getting these weekly newsletters, weekly videos, premium videos, and a few other things, as well as a dashboard where you can look at some live updated metrics that I'm looking at. So check it out. If you want a discount, you can pay with cryptocurrency for 6 or 12 months. So check that out, and I'll see you guys in the emails that I'll send you. But if you go back over here, again, what we're looking for the year, for say 2020 and 2021, again, is likely just to stay within this regression band. Now, clearly, there's a chance we could pop above it, like we saw kind of a mini speculative bubble in 2019. Maybe we'll see another one in 2020. But again, what we want to see is a sustainable $20,000 per Bitcoin. And likely that's not going to happen, as we mentioned, until the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022. Of course, we could always see a spike to that level in 2020, but I don't, or even in early 2021, but I would not imagine that if we did see that, it would be very sustainable. So the lower band, again here on the bottom part of this band, is around it's around the 200-week moving average, so close to around $6,000, and the top of the band is around, say, $12,000 or so. So as long as we're not above the regression band, then I don't really consider us to be in any type of speculative bubble. This just allows you to see on a say the macro perspective where you might want to be accumulating Bitcoin if you're not taking some other numerical approach. Just by looking, at the grand scheme of things, do you want to be accumulating it up here when we're, 2,000% overvalued compared to the regression line? Or do you want to be accumulating it while we're in the regression band and we're continuing to work our way up it to a new paradigm shift in the valuation of Bitcoin? One of the things I think that's interesting with the price right now is if you look, the 50-day, the 100-day, and the 200-day moving average are all essentially the same thing. And we know the 50-day and the 200-day are basically identical because we're printing a golden cross, which is where the 50-day moving average goes above the 200-day moving average. And again, this is a necessary but not sufficient condition for the bull run. Another necessary but not sufficient condition is we need to be above the 20-week moving average, which we are. So we need the golden cross to print. The minute the golden cross prints, it doesn't mean we're going to go up. In fact, there have been several golden crosses in the past where we initially go down, and we kick the can down the road, and we end up printing a death cross. But there's also times where we have a golden cross and we initially go down, but then we continue going back up, and you can see times where that has happened if you just look back at what's happened in the past. I mean, here we have, let's see, so here we have let me hide the 100 week so it's not, so here we had a golden cross where the 50-week or the 50-day went above the 200, and you can see we saw an initial sell-off, but more or less the move continued. So don't be surprised, and we've kind of already seen this to some degree because the price went from 9,700 down to like 9,200 in a few minutes earlier today. But I mean, these moves that we see are fairly normal, even in a bull market. So again, we've seen prior bull markets where we saw several 30 to 40% corrections, and it can be hard for people who are looking at this because they think that it's going to go up and up and up, and then it goes down by 27%, and they think the party's over, and they cash out, and then it just shoots right back up. There's been plenty of times where, and again, this is the daily. This is why it's not showing support here. But if you go back to say the weekly chart, you can see we're holding it on the 20-week moving average every single time. So be prepared for drops. Again, if you can't handle 20-30% moves to the downside, especially after you've seen several 100% move to the upside, then this clearly it's clearly not the market for you, because even if we are kicking off the bull market now with being above the 20-week and printing a golden cross, on the chance that this is the start of the bull market, one thing I can assure you over the next cycle is that we will see several retracements. It's not going to go up monotonically. We talk about lengthening cycles and seeing maybe a peak by 2023. Again, we might go up to 14K and then retrace back to 10. We might go up to 20K and then retrace back to 15. This is just par for the course. So again, become resolved in what your plan is and stick to it. Because again, I mean, this is not financial advice, but if we do go to 100K, I mean, there's going to be serious money to be made in that type of market, and it's important to stay diligent and stay focused now, so you're not getting too wrapped up in things like day trading and whatnot. Because I think for the most part, most people are not making money there. Of course, there are some people who are better at scalping than others. But remember, if you're doing it just by yourself and you have no experience, then you're going up against these algorithms that have been programmed to basically outsmart you. So for the average person, for the person who we're just going along for the ride, we're here to accumulate as much as we can, to time the entry into the market methodically, to slowly accumulate our Bitcoin, and in the same way methodically exit our position when the time is right. There's still going to, there still would be a transfer of wealth there. It's just a slower approach, but it can still obviously be very lucrative if Bitcoin goes to 100K. Because I mean, even in the last market cycle, the people who managed to hold throughout all of these short-term drops were ultimately able to sell it at very much higher prices than had they just sold at, say, $2,000 or $3,000 per Bitcoin when it ultimately went to $20,000. And this is why, not only do we have this logarithmic regression chart, we also have, the total cryptocurrency market cap, fair valuation, under, overvaluation. We have the risk metric that will help you identify where the top of the speculative bubble is. It goes from 0 to 1. I have plenty of videos on it. If you guys want weekly updates to that, or a dashboard where you can see what the risk is in real time, then again, please check out my website. That is just intothecryptoverse.com, and you'll get access to all this. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on it. I do try to provide an approach to cryptocurrency that is different from what most people provide. I'm not just here to just put 1,000 capital letters in the title and 200 exclamation points and and pretend that every single video I make is the most important thing you've seen for the last 5 years. No, we're just we're talking about the markets. We're using data science to look at the markets. Here you can see, an outline of the risk metric and how it can identify these peaks. It takes into account diminishing returns and lengthening cycles. We also look at, we regularly look at valuations of coins with respect to, say, like the 20-week moving average and whatnot. So if you want to subscribe, check out intothecryptoverse.com. It's $49 a month, or again, you can get a 5 to 10% discount if you pay with cryptocurrency. So, watch out. Again, we're about to print the Golden Cross, which, I think it's printing today. I don't know exactly when it's going to cross, but, watch out for this cross here, because once we get into the waters of the Golden Cross is printed, then it is possible that Bitcoin could start to move. Now, again, we might kick the can down the road if you see Bitcoin drop below that 20-week moving average. If you see it heading down to $8,200 and then it drops below $8,200 and starts heading south, then for me, I will be consolidating my positions into either Bitcoin or stable coins, because when you go below the 20-week, it's not usually a good sign in the short term. Just looking again here, we dropped to the 100-week moving average, and then in this instance, we dropped to the 200-week moving average with a wick down to the 300-week moving average, which was around like $3,900 or $3,800 at the time. So if you want to have a plan and follow what I'm doing, I basically post daily analysis and whatnot. So if you want to have a plan, check out the website intothecryptoverse.com. If that's not your jam, that's fine. Just at least subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.